I'm on a quest to find music and art. Supporting local talent is the place I start. Yeah, this is our culture, the place to be. Games, books, arts, and crafts and jewelry. This the guardians of the geekery. 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 And now for today's episode of Guardians of the Geekery with your hosts, Matt, Carol, and Joey.
All right, Guardians of the Geekery podcast, celebrating the Geekery market. When is the Geekery market, you asked, this year? This is 2024. It is Saturday, November 9th at the Cabarrus Arena and Event Center, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., 30,000 square feet of geeky goodness. And we're very happy, brand new folks that are coming. Ferret Flush. This is an amazing game. I won't pretend that I understand it, but we have somebody here that can.
We have somebody to tell us the rules.
Yeah, that's the podcast. We learn stuff, right? So very pleased to introduce Anthony Gonzalez. Welcome, Anthony. Really appreciate you making the time to join us, and we're super excited to have you this November.
Thanks, Matt. So excited to be here.
Yes, so Anthony and I actually met at the Southern Christmas Home Show last year. He tried to get me to come over to his booth, and I was on my scooter, and I was like, I'm on my way. I'm doing things. And then I realized he was talking about a card game, and there's nothing a geek loves more than board games. So I backed up my scooter and said, okay, tell me about this. And I bought 2 copies. So tell us a little bit about Ferret Flush, the concept, and then maybe a little bit about how you guys created the game. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, it was a joy to meet Joey. I mean, when I was taking care of the booth at the Southern Christmas Show, I mean, there's thousands of people that walk through the aisle and all the aisles there. And I got my quick pitch, like, if you love card games or game nights, you'll love Ferret Flush. Most people blow me off, but once in a while, I got a good geek or nerd that wants to come and play some cards, and Joey was one of them. So we had a great time. So Ferret Flush is a card game. My wife woke up in the middle of the night back in 2020 during the pandemic and couldn't go back to sleep. She was restless and found herself rolling over out of the bed and headed to the office to just jot some notes down. I'm passed out. I got no idea what's going on. But the next morning, when I wake up, she says, hey, I think God wants me to make a card game. And I'm thinking, okay, we're people of faith, but that's odd even for like faith people. Like, what do you mean God wants you to make a card game? But as she began to explain it, I realized, like, okay, Britt, I think you might have something here. And within 24 hours, we made the first draft of what's now Ferret Flush. But we realized what was created in a day really has taken our lifetimes to develop, because it's been a powerful tool that integrates kind of our story and healing in a fun, creative, competitive way when you just play a card game with some friends. So that's a quick summary of how Ferret Flush came to be.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about the concept. So it's similar to kind of an apples to apples. Like, if you understand the basic concept of apples to apples, it's kind of like apples to apples plus, because there's more features to it than just one person throws down a red card, everybody else throws down their best green card, kind of deal.
Correct. Yeah. So it's kind of a bias judge type game, right? So there's 2 types of cards. There's these blue situation cards, just have crazy situations on them. Like, some of them say zombie apocalypse. They're the fast kind. Or Earth no longer produces coffee beans. And so one person flips one of these situation cards. The goal is to win that card. It's worth 1 point. Meanwhile, everyone else has these red play cards. And the play cards have 3 things on them. They have a thought, a feeling, and an action. And you go through each of those rounds with that one situation. So let's say, Matt, you flip a situation. You're the ferret, and your situation is unicorns are attracted to my earwax. The rest of us, we'd have these play cards, and we're going to send him a thought. What would Matt think in this situation? You'd read the thoughts we send you, you pick your favorite, and that person has one up on everyone else. But then we build on it. In addition to the thought, we'd next send you a feeling. How would Matt feel about unicorns being attracted to earwax, which is not the same as thoughts? So we have our thoughts, we have our feelings, and then lastly, we'll send you actions, and you'll pick your favorite. And whoever card gets picked 2 out of the 3 times wins that situation card for a point, and then we rotate. Next person gets to be the ferret. Once everyone's been the ferret once or 2 times, depending on how many people are playing, The game is done, and whoever wins the most points wins the game.
That's pretty awesome.
And it's like, it's 3 sides, right? Like one is so you can understand when you look at the card, it's like action, thought, feeling, you know what I mean? Like, so yes, you have the cards there.
There we go.
My cards
Yeah.
are over
So this is
there.
an example of a play card. So Ferret tells you where to start, which, by the way, we use an image of a ferret because not only are they cute, cuddly mammals, but the word ferret is also a verb that means to find and bring to light by searching. They were originally used by hunters to send underground to flush out vermin and bring them to the surface. Likewise, this game helps to bring to the surface things we can't see in each other, namely our thoughts and emotions. So Ferret tells us where to start, which is with our thoughts in blue. This card says, I take no crap from nobody. Then you move on to feelings in red. In this case, it says embarrassed. And then lastly, you moved on to actions. This one says get a commemorative tattoo. So they're all randomized. They're all kind of fun. Actually, college students help us develop it. So it's a lot of that generation's vernacular. So we've had like older folks, like retirement homes play it, and they're looking up like, what does twerk mean? Or what does like, these random words that are in there. So there's no profanity. I mean, some of the language is a little edgy, so that's why we say ages 13 and up for the original pack. But for families who are maybe a little more conservative, we also created a junior pack for ages 7 and up. And so that one has just a lot of fun humor for elementary to middle school aged kids. And the game mechanics are a little more simplified for the junior pack than what I just explained a moment ago.
And yeah, I bought I bought the whole set. There were other parts.
You bought the adventure bag. There's a whole bunch of resources.
I was like, wrap it up. Put it in my cart.
Yeah, we had a great time together.
Yeah.
So this is the original pack. It's a 2-part box. This is the junior pack. It's a tuck box. They both have the same amount of cards in them. But like I said, the junior pack is designed for younger ages. So a lot more simple things like in the back, the example says the situation is the next book I open comes to life around me.
Ooh.
So that's kind of fun to imagine. And then you've got all the examples of different kinds of thoughts or thoughts, feelings, or actions you can send in to people. So that's the game. And we created some cool books that accompany it for people who want to kind of take the next step and integrate it into their own lives. This is a Ferret Out journal. It's 20 days of ferreting out. And basically what you do is there's this quadrant that shows on the top left, it asks, what's the situation? And you can write a recent situation you faced that was beyond your control. Then what did you think? How did you feel? What did you do about it? And it's been a powerful mental health tool for people to use. Since the COVID pandemic, it's kind of revealed a mental health pandemic that's been existing. And so this has been a really fun, playful way for people to just engage on a deeper level. But hey, if you're not interested in doing all that deep stuff, it's all good. Just break out a pack of the deck and have a good time with your friends, and you'll all have a blast.
Yeah. So, and we're very excited about having you there. We're going to put you in an area next to some tables. So if people want to sit down and demo the game, either the junior or the regular level, they can definitely check it out. What do you think was like some of the hardest challenges you had once you had this dream? Fortunately, it wasn't a baseball diamond you had to build out in your backyard, right? So,
That's right.
But then what did you find were like some of the things you were surprised by when you were trying to put the game together that you didn't expect when you first envisioned this?
Yeah, I think kind of casting the vision for it, we realized quickly the more we talk about the game, the quicker people's eyes glaze over. But when we can deal people in and they play the game, then they're locked in. So, when we do at the first outset, we would present and talk about all the reasons why we made the game, and barely anyone was interested in getting it. And then at trade shows like the one where you and I met, I just start off by playing the game. People see how fun it is, they laugh, and then we share some of the deeper story behind it, and they're all the more bought in. So what I realized is people play, they tend to pay. Pay in terms of buying the game, and it's been a fun experience to do that. I'll give you a quick example. At our kids' school, a lot of schools and after-school programs have really enjoyed using the junior pack because it's kind of a social, emotional learning tool for those who want to use it that way. And so we set up an appointment. We showed up at the school, and there was kind of a miscommunication. They thought we were just doing phone conversation, but we physically showed up. And so they were kind of annoyed at first that we were actually there at the school. But they said, okay, you got 10 minutes to show us what you got. I said, all right, I've worked on more strict pressure before. I can do this. And by the end of our time, they shift from being annoyed to being actually grateful and inspired because they got to play the game. They got to touch the cards. And before we knew it, they were laughing, having a great time. And then they were like, man, y'all got to come back and do like a game night for all the parents. We want to use this as a resource in our curriculum for social emotional learning. And it was just opened up tremendous doors at the school system down here. So that's kind of the challenge we've seen is let's talk more play. And we see a lot more traction that way.
Were you interested in card games or board games before this, or did you just get a crash course once you started this journey?
You know, we're not huge like board game people, surprisingly. I will say this, I'm a big fan of Settlers of Catan, or if you say Catan, you know, we enjoy that game. So I have a few expansions and we play that at home. Our kids are at an age now where they're really getting into playing simple games like Uno and, you know, certain, you know, playing cards. But I think that's really picked up since we made this game and our kids got involved and helped us make the junior pack. And it's been a great way to bond as a family on certain evenings where we just break out a pack of something and have a good time playing.
That's awesome.
Anthony, how do you think your experience as a pastor and then your wife's as a Olympian, as a diver in the London Games, how do you think that worked in the creation of the game?
Matt, I can tell you've done some research, man. Way to go doing your homework here.
Gotta do the show,
Yeah.
first, baby.
Yeah. So appreciate you
He's
asking
not
that,
just
man.
a pretty face, you know.
Definitely not that.
Hey, we've got great faces for radio, man. This is what it's about right here.
Except for you laugh, but that's what Matt and I used to do. We actually both worked in radio.
All right. There we go. Yeah, I think in my case, having a background as a pastor, I served as a youth pastor. I was kind of like, you know, the guy who loved to beat up on the middle school kids, and the high school kids would beat up on me. And I realized that play and laughter became a doorway into discussions on deeper things in life. Because, you know, when kids have rough things going on at home or at school, ideally church is kind of that third safe place where they can go to be known and to be loved. And I realized really quickly, there's kind of an old saying, like kids don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. And what I realized is when I can play and hang out and be laid back with young people, they see like, hey, he's a normal dude and he cares about me. And maybe he's safe enough for me to open up to. And we realized early on, I have a recovery journey from an addiction that nearly destroyed my marriage. Brittany's her story, which you guys can look up online as you're listening, look up Brittany Viola. Yes, she's an Olympian, but prior to that, she encountered a lot of struggles with an eating disorder. And so both her and I have a recovery journey that we realized we had common tools that helped us overcome our recovery journey. And Ferret Flesh became a really fun, non-threatening, competitive way to have some introductory tools that would help people in their mental and emotional health. So back to your question, my pastoral background and Brittany's athletic background, because sports is an amazing platform, but it was also a place that did some damage for her. You know, sometimes sports can be a place where you're told not to feel, not to cry, leave your emotions somewhere else. And that compartmentalization for her was kind of destructive. So Ferret Flesh has kind of been a way to help reintegrate people to normalize the interplay between our thoughts, feelings, and actions, and become a way to bond and grow in empathy with other people. Because you and I might face the same situation, but we'll have different thoughts, feelings, and actions in response to those situations. And that helps build attunement and empathy between people.
Yeah, I can definitely say that. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Like you said earlier, Anthony, I mean, with the pandemic was a perfect coming out of people's who might not even know they had a mental health problem or some issues they needed to work through. But when you're faced with all that time, and then a game, once you start being able to get back together physically in a room together with people, it's just so powerful to share it in kind of a non-judgy way. And I mean, everybody on the screen, I think, is a geek and struggle with different things. And you know, that kind of geek became kind of the safe place, I think, growing up. So if you were bullied, then you know, maybe there's somebody that you could trade a comic book with or play a fun card game with to get that acceptance and different ways so you could bond socially and deal with some stuff. But I think that's really remarkable. Yeah, that's great,
Matt. Yeah, and I think you reminded me, it felt very counterintuitive to begin developing a card game during the pandemic where people are encouraged to not be around each other and hand things to each other for fear of catching what someone else has. We're like, what are we doing making like a physical card game? But obviously, in the grand scheme of things, we're able to work our way out of the shutdown. And yeah, pretty soon people were hungry for genuine connection.
Yeah.
And as great as digital platforms are to allow us to do things like this, we're also missing that like just tangible engagement with each other. People were hungry for genuine touch, to be chosen, to be affirmed. And those are things we hope to see across a meal table between friends and family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. When I went through my first divorce, I was married before, honey. In case you didn't know, he always tells people, "You were married before." One of the things that was really interesting to me was I realized I could not be in the same physical state as my ex. Like I was not going to have any Stella moment, streetcar named Desire kind of thing outside my window. So I went from South Carolina to Denver, Colorado, like 1,600 miles if you really want to come and sit outside my door. So but one of the things that I realized is, like you said, you have like church and school and work, and that's about it. And at the time, I had not found, a church or whatever. And I was at work, and obviously, you don't want to like mess up your paycheck. So I wasn't a bar girl. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. So it was like I was online with my online friends because you could take that little magic box with you anywhere. I could play World of Warcraft anywhere.
Right.
But so I had my online friends, and then I had my work associates. And it wasn't until like I was babysitting one of my coworkers' kids, and he just came running up at like wild abandon. It was like, Aunt Joey, and like grabbed me and gave me a hug. And I was kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot, like hug meter. Like my hug meter was so empty, because it's different when you're like going on dates or whatever, because ulterior motives. So it was just like just genuine, interaction with people. And even Carol and I have been talking about that. It's really easy if you're already kind of that hermity online person to realize that you haven't left the house in a couple days during the pandemic, and maybe we need to do that. And
or
just
months in my case.
or months, But
the moon is back. Oh, okay.
What is this giant glowy ball in the sky? I haven't seen that in a while.
But physically, like going out, and like we were, we got together to watch the new Doctor Who, because we were just like, let's like be in the same room together, because we could live stream it with each other, whatever, but we're like, let's be in the same room. It's a concept. And definitely like the Geekery market, when we brought that back, like literally the last Geekery market we had was the week before Governor Cooper declared, pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the weekend before. And then like we didn't have another market until February of 23. And then we were like, oh no, now what do we do? So, and of course it was so crowded because everybody was so excited it was back, and we only had 5,000 square feet, and it was overwhelming. And so then now we've got the 30,000 square feet, we've got the 10-foot aisles, we've got the breathability. Made us a little nervous at first. I was like, oh my goodness, is nobody here? And it's like, no, it's the same amount of people in 30,000 square feet versus 5,000. You have breathing room. So, that was kind of the difference for us. But yeah, so, but yeah, definitely we've noticed it after 3 or 4 years. We're like, yeah, we actually have to interact with each
interact with other people.
Take precautions. I mean, I have an immune compromised system. Take the precautions that you need, but go out and interact. And that's definitely kind of why we like the Geekery market, because we want to support that local community, local business, and get them there. So
yeah, I mean, you have no idea how many gallons of hand sanitizer I've gone through as I do these trade shows, and I'm playing cards with every random stranger that comes through. So I get it. But yeah, it just demonstrates how hungry we are for connection. And, one of the common questions we get is, are you guys going to create an app? And I think at some point we will, but we really wanted to have a strong foundation of in-person physical cards to create that bonding between people in the game. But we know that sometimes you have friends or family that are, great distances, and it's not realistic to do that. So we hope to create a Ferret Flush app or, virtual platform for people to play, to continue to help out those who may move, and go to other places. But I'm excited for the Geekery market and to connect with all the other geeks in town and across the state. So
You're going to have
where
a
do people
higher
come from?
percentage of board gamers than you
Yeah.
did at the Southern Christmas Home Show.
Oh,
I'll
you
just tell you that
definitely.
right up front. So,
Yep.
but and hopefully when they back up, they don't run over people with a scooter like I tend to do. So it's all good. So
we have people. Yeah, we have people coming from like Raleigh, Durham, and South Carolina. We'll have people that'll drive 4 or 5 hours.
yeah, we had people
Come
come
to the
from
market.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, or outer Atlanta and stuff like that. So it's definitely kind of a destination thing, which is great. And it's a whole day, so we have
Mhm.
activities, it's not just shopping. You could go and the kids can do the Lego station. You could go get pictures with Geeky Santa Claus with your lightsabers. You can, build puppets with the Guinness World Record holder for puppet making and all sorts of fun stuff. So it's going to be a cool event. But some people may not be able to wait, Anthony, until November to play this game.
Mm.
So
What do we
if
do
they
for these
wanted
people?
to buy a copy of this game now, where would they go to?
It might be hard to remember, but the website is ferretflush.com. And all our products are available there. We actually just uploaded some professionally made tutorial videos on how to play, because we know sometimes reading instructions can kind of be like, "Meh." So you get to watch, how we do it, and fun ways that you can change up the game. But yeah, ferretflush.com. We've got our online shop there, and we'd love to also thank those who listen to the podcast and are part of this. So we got a promo code FF for Ferret Flush, FF Geek. Put that promo code in, you get 10% off your order, and that'll be a great way to say thank you to everyone who's listening right now.
Awesome. Well, Anthony, it was so great to have you. I know Brittany was having to deal with children going to sleep, but we look forward to meeting her, and hopefully the kids can come hang out for a while too. We do have sword fighting with Nerf swords that they can learn how to do medieval sword fighting, which is a great way to put kids to sleep, by the way.
No, sign me up. Forget the kids. I'm gonna go play.
Jess Blair, who runs the group, amazing person. She was catching people as they were leaving. Is like, if you're afraid your kids got too much energy, we've got some, weeble wobble punching bags and some Nerf things, and we can teach them how to down the dragon and then go down in the car for you. So it's a great way to go to sleep. But thank you so much for being here. We can't wait for everybody to meet you in November. And of course, go to ferretflush.com before then. And just to make sure, even if you need to reserve a copy, that you pick up at the Geekery market so it doesn't sell out on you. So
that's right. We've had that happen at other trade shows. So get it in while it's hot. All
right. We'll see you then. And thank you so much.
That was an episode of Guardians of the Geekery. Thank you for listening. Check us out at guardiansofthegeekery.com and stay tuned for more content.